Good morning, I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. I've had a bit of a haircut, don't know if you could tell, but I think we can agree that it was somewhat overdue. I mean, look at that, I look ridiculous. Anyway, this is my 100th YouTube video. It's kind of insane for me to think about it, trying to work out exactly how many hours I've spent on all of the content that is on this channel. Kind of made me want to have a look back at some of the earlier stuff I'd done to give myself an impression of exactly how I've changed and how my content has changed over the nearly 2 years I've been making these YouTube videos. So I did it, and the main conclusion that I drew from this, which is something that I'm sure lots of people have experienced before, but it's also important to mention to anyone who's potentially thinking of starting making YouTube videos themselves, is that when I'm making a video now, I am for the most part being myself. And the earlier videos on my channel, especially like the first few, that is just not me at all. I was kind of adopting this weird YouTuber persona thing that I just thought everyone had to have if they were going to make videos. And I just want to talk a little bit about how silly that is and how nonsensical it is to base a platform that is primarily about you as a person on a version of yourself that doesn't really exist. And there are a few different reasons why people will do this. I know that for me, I think a part of it was that I wasn't comfortable actually doing this. It's a really strange thing talking into a camera by yourself, right? So I find this whenever I watch YouTube videos. You feel very involved in what's going on and what they're saying, but what is actually happening is some loser is sat in their bedroom by themselves trying to film takes in between noises from a housemate playing PlayStation and people going to the toilet and stuff, and it's just me sat in my room with two horrendously bright softboxes pointed straight at my face, and I've got a fucking headache at the moment because I've been staring at screens so much because it's the last weekend before I can actually hand in all my uni work, and I'm very stressed. And yeah, it's just me. It's just a fucking loser in a bedroom with some silly jewelry on talking shit into a camera. That was a bit excessive. But, I mean, do you see what I mean? Like, it's not something that feels natural. It's not something that is natural to do. And it's only after making like 100 videos that I actually feel comfortable doing this. You know, I can just set up my camera, set up my microphone, and just go, and I don't have any problems with it. But when you start, it's not easy. It's a really unnatural, weird thing to do, and it can be easier to get through that first initial barrier of trying to make a video if you effectively disassociate your own personality from what is being portrayed on the internet. That's one reason for it. Another reason I've found is that it's like people are trying to emulate a certain style of video, and I don't mean editing style, I mean personality style. I'm guilty of this to an extent as well, but there is a degree to which you can see people, especially when they're starting off, they're trying to emulate the people who they watch. And that's a totally natural, normal thing to do, and it's fine, but it's not a sustainable way of making videos if you actually want to make videos consistently. You're going to have to be somewhat true to your personality in one way or another, because it's just too tiring to pretend. And let's be honest, there are way too many socially awkward vloggers out there. This isn't necessarily such a big thing now because there's such a diverse range of YouTube personalities, but I can remember like in the early days of YouTubers like Alex Day and Charlie McDonald, and like when Dan and Phil became a thing, there was this weird idea that to be a YouTuber you had to be some like, oh, I'm socially awkward, I don't know how to act in public. It was like this weird archetype of YouTube person that like wore skinny jeans and was awkward and had thick rimmed glasses, or I don't know, whatever. I'm probably wrong about the glasses part, but do you know what I mean? And then everyone tries to emulate that, and before you know it, everyone within a certain community on YouTube is going on about how socially awkward they are. You don't have to masquerade as some socially anxious anime watcher to make YouTube videos. You can just be yourself, that's fine. I'm not trying to offend anyone, by the way, and what I was just referring to is more of a 2012, 2013 YouTube thing. Not as relevant in today's YouTube climate. Now it's more about hating social justice warriors, drone footage, and exposed videos. And if you go back on my channel to some of my earliest videos, you can see an absolute, almost perfect example of someone making a YouTube video and trying to live up to this weird, awkward archetype of the YouTube personality. Here we go, literally my very first video on this channel. It's called University Room Tour. It's got 4,000 views, and I'm forever embarrassed that so many people have actually watched that video. Hello everyone, my name is Tom. I'm going to be doing a video about living in university halls and a quick tour of my room. Just in case anyone is interested in knowing, immediately compare now how I talk on camera and how I interact with that. Like, hello everyone, like, fuck off you twat. I'm just gonna head outside. It's probably gonna be really awkward because there are gonna be people in the hallway. There we go. I'm just gonna head outside and it's probably gonna be really awkward because there are going to be people in the hallway. The people in this instance were the same flatmates I've been living with for like the whole year, so I knew them perfectly well. It wouldn't really have been awkward at all. I was just doing the YouTuber thing. That was really, really awkward. Some people just came out of the lift when I was talking and it just got awkward quick. There we go. I'm at it again with the fake social awkwardness. Now in that video, there's potentially the slight defense that it's the first time I'd ever actually walked around holding a camera talking to it. And I would have felt a bit embarrassed if someone had seen me talking, but like just the way I'm talking in that video is just not really who I am. Me, I like to go with a more alternative approach and just have a cushion of a fish. His name is Gilbert and he is awesome. Just look at that face. Oh god. That's the first thing I put on YouTube. That was I just ugh. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into one of those reacting to my old videos things. I fucking hate it when people do that. I really, really do. It's such an obvious I have no clue what I'm going to make a video about upload. If you've been on YouTube for like 10 years, then maybe it might be fun to do that in a small way. But you see some people who've had a channel for like 4 months and then they have like 2 videos in a row, which is like reacting to my old videos part 1 and part 2. It's like, oh, come on, mate. Actually make some content. It's like that awful episode in Scrubs or in other TV shows where they just make a whole episode about looking back at all of the various fun or sad things that have happened over the previous like however many series of that show. Basically the writers just couldn't think of anything to do. But yeah, comparing those videos to the ones that I'm making now in terms of how I act on camera, I find really, really interesting because there's such a stark contrast. I didn't make many of those weird, not really myself videos. I think I realized quite quickly that it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And after that, it was just a process of gradually getting used to doing this and to talking into a camera. And the way that I act and the way that I talk now, if you were to like meet me in real life, this is pretty much exactly how I would sound. I've been told that I over-enunciate things in my YouTube videos, so I kind of pronounce my T's and my P's a little bit more articulately than I would do were I just in real life. But I think that's more a result of doing multiple takes of the same thing. You end up saying it really, really clearly on the one that you actually choose. And it's so much more fulfilling and makes it so much easier to create these videos if you are just yourself and you're kind of being natural. The only difficulty, which is a very valid thing I will acknowledge, is that you do have to kind of own up to who you are if you're being yourself in your videos. If you're pretending to be some silly, awkward then it's much easier to distance yourself from that, and if people criticize it, be like, oh well, it's not really who I am. But if you're being yourself and posting it onto the internet, you're making yourself vulnerable and you have to sort of take ownership of who you are and just be really comfortable doing it. So my advice to anyone, if you're thinking of making YouTube videos, is just to be yourself, because you will make videos that you are happier with. You will come across as more genuine in your videos. I mean, you can tell when you're watching a video if someone is overacting something or if they're putting on an act. It's so transparent. So just be yourself. I'm sure you're absolutely lovely. Right, that's it. I'm sorry that this has been somewhat of a kind of boring, ranty video. It's like 10:30 on Thursday night and tomorrow is the deadline for 3 projects at university and is actually like the last hand-in day for university. So after tomorrow, I'll basically have finished it all, which is somewhat terrifying. So I've got to edit this video and then do like 5 or 6 hours of university work. I'll probably won't sleep tonight, but that's fine. Thank you for watching. If you've made it all the way to here, I hope you found it interesting or useful in one way or another. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you very soon.